guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster, and I thought I'd do the second part of my carving a Kuksa video. Now you've seen where we've got to so far. Basically you've got the bowl is nicely certainly roughed out, a few tool marks to smooth out of there, but that's probably about as far as I'll take it. May go a little bit deeper, not quite sure. But what I now want to do is start roughing out the rest of the bowl with an axe. Now this, I've done all of this today, so what I don't want to do is leave this for too long with the bowl in there without thinning down some of the sides first, otherwise it'll start to crack. So what I'll do, let me move the camera a little bit closer in and I'll show you what we're going to do. Right then guys, so here is the Kuksa, and all I really want to start doing now is start taking down some of these edges here, around the front, and just basically getting the as much material off as I can in conjunction with the bowl. So hopefully I should be able to get down to as thin as the lines I've got on the outer side here. But we'll make a start and see how we get on. Right then guys, well the thing to remember at this point, especially if you're not particularly confident in your axe skills, is don't take it too far, because obviously one slip with your axe and you could end up ruining a perfectly good piece of work. Now I'm happy that I can get this a little bit thinner before I move over to my knife, so I'll give this another sort of 5 or 10 minutes and then we'll move over to something else. Right, so we've now got everything pretty much roughed out. That's about as much as I'm willing to take it. I know there are other people who would use the axe a lot more than this. Yeah, there's still a reasonable amount of material between the bowl and the outer wall, but I just want to be a little bit more safe than sorry. So there's two things I'm now going to do. First of all, I'm going to take my saw and put a cut in here and into here, and that's what's known as a stop cut. And basically what that will allow me to do is when I'm carving with my knife, or even with my axe for that matter, I will go as far as the stop cut with the knife, and what I won't be able to do is accidentally take off a larger chunk of material than I mean to. Now these stop cuts are really useful, especially when you're making things like spoons or a sort of slightly offset handle like this. And what I'll do, let me get these cuts in and then I'll show you what it is I'm actually talking about. Very difficult to do this while when you've got a rounded base on the bowl, which probably wasn't my best of ideas. That should do for now. So hopefully you can see that there, guys. I've got a cut going down to the side of each of these handle bits, and it just means, again, when I'm cutting this way or this way, I'm not going to accidentally overshoot and cut either into the bowl or into the handle itself. Well, that's the theory anyway. So now that that's done, I'm going to move over to my knife, and you can use any knife for this. Personally, since I picked one up a little while ago, I'm favouring this, which you may have seen in my other videos. This is a farrier's knife, and it's used for cutting and trimming horses' hooves, and it was a new tool to me. It's very similar to a spoon knife, but the curve at the top is much more pronounced and a lot smaller. But what it allows me to do, for example, is using kind of like a potato peeling grip. You've got a lot of fine control over how you're carving. Now, you can use a normal knife for this. You can use you can use a pen knife, you can use a Mora, you can use a custom-made bushcraft knife, you can use pretty much any knife that you would normally use for woodworking. However, this, because you don't have a point on here, my view is this is a slightly safer knife to use, especially if you're new to bushcraft, if it's something that you're giving to children, something like that. And again, I just quite like it. It's a nice sharp blade, and it does what I ask of it. And because it's got quite a large handle and quite a small blade, it is very manageable. Also very similar to this knife, which you may have seen before. Again, this is a Mora, and it's a I can't remember the proper name for this, but it's a Mora carving knife. And again, you can hold this in a number of different ways. You can hold it in your potato peeler grip like so. You can hold it in a more traditional grip, and you can use maybe your thumb to sort of pivot and lever off pieces. And again, this knife itself, that's kind of what this knife is designed for. Alternatively, if I just find where I've left it, you've got your standard Mora clipper or Mora companion. And again, works in exactly the same way. You can pivot the knife, you can hold it in your potato peeler grip. Now the problem with this, because it's a large knife, instantly whilst doing this, it feels like there's a much higher chance of this knife slipping and going into my thumb. Even though my thumb is kind of behind the wood here, it does feel a lot more precarious. So if I was using a large knife like this, I would probably hold it like so and push with my thumb. There's no reason you can't just kind of go like this. The only problem with this method, and I see a lot of people using it, is that you don't have as much control over your knife. The knife does sort of fly off the end of the wood a little bit. And again, provided you're keeping your knees, your legs out of the way, so you're either standing up, or you're sitting down, and you're not resting this on your body, there's no reason why your knife can't sort of shoot forward a little bit. However, my personal opinion, if I'm using a large knife, I'll generally use this technique. This is just my preferred, and again, you're only carving off very small pieces here. But what I'm going to do, rather than bore everybody with me sitting here just literally whittling away with this knife, sort of tiny shard by tiny shard, I'm going to spend probably half an hour on this, just taking away some of this material until I'm roughly where I want to be. I haven't decided how I'm going to finish this yet. The inside of the bowl will certainly be sanded, although to be honest it's almost perfect as it is. There's a few little tool marks which I'll probably just sand out. The outside, I'm not sure yet. I might sand it, I might leave it with a tool finished. I haven't quite decided. But what I'll do, guys, I'll come back in a couple of, I'll come back instantly on this video, but in about half an hour I'll come back and I'll show you where we've got to. Right then guys, well that's about it for today I think. Hopefully you can see a little bit more clearly now what it is I'm trying to do. I've got the handle sort of roughed out. The bowl is to all intents and purposes finished on the inside. The outside's got a fair bit more finishing work to do, but to be honest we're definitely getting there. And obviously, you know, this is how it will end up. You know, you'll hold this, you'll you know, fill this with your desired beverage, and then be able to take a sip from it. And it should hold a good, probably a good couple of shots worth of you know, your favourite tipple. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this away for today. I'm going to stick it in a plastic bag with some of the fresh shavings, so hopefully it doesn't break. And I'll probably come back to this tomorrow, do a little bit more work on refining it down, ready for it to finally dry and then be finished. So I hope it was useful guys. Comments and questions in the box below. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks guys.